All right, we're live.
So on this week's edition of Sponsorship Live, we have Adam Townsend. He is a pro MMA fighter. Thanks for joining us today, Adam.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. I guess we could just go ahead and hop right into the first question. And we like to start off at the beginning of people's careers. So how many years did you spend training for your fight career?
Man, I trained about 2 weeks for my career. It was really crazy. I was just super into the UFC, super into you know Chuck Liddell and BJ Penn and George St. Pierre. Those were the guys that I really grew up watching and really made me fall in love with the sport. And had a friend be like, "Hey, you want to go to the gym?" And I was like, "Yeah," and he took me to the gym. I trained maybe 10 times total, and they were like, "Hey, we got a fight coming up this next week. Would you want to be a part of it?" I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know if I'm ready." I definitely wasn't ready, but in my mind, I kind of was. I thought I was a little badass, and and I was like, "Yeah, sign me up." So I thought it was going to be like a little gym, maybe 40 people there. And it was cage brawl, and Frank's been to the cage brawls back in the day in Kingsport. And man, those events was like 2,000 people, like 2 big screen TVs. I walked in, I was like, "Holy crap, what have I got myself into? I'm about to get my breakthrough." And that's how my career started, basically.
Nice.
One step before your career started, you played high school football?
Yeah, I played college football, played high school football. I was running back, and it was it definitely helped me, get into fighting just from having to have hard work and having to, football tackle people. Cause that's all I started doing when I first started fighting. That was my whole game, was to football tackle you and then punch you in the face. So it worked out well for me for a while.
Right. So, I mean, generally speaking, you're a pretty pleasant guy. So you have this talent to be able to flip the switch when you get on the field or in the ring.
Yeah, I mean, that was the thing for me, is like, even when I got like my last couple fights, and when I started thinking about retirement and everything, it was like, I felt like it was so hard for me to really want to hurt people still, like because these guys are coming in, and like especially when the fight first starts, for some people, it felt like to me that was kind of leaving me a little bit, because I didn't want to go out there and I wasn't so mad and aggressive. And these dudes were coming out, and you could see it on their faces, and you're like, "Man, this guy's really trying to hurt me." Like, it's and not every fight's like that, but like you can tell some people really have those bad intentions, like from the very, very start. And some people it takes a little while, or they might be scared of you, or nervous or whatever, and it's different every time.
Oh,
Frank's gone.
did we lose him?
Lost Frank.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're still live. It looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess we can just go ahead and hop right into the next question. Was there a certain event or a certain fight that really showed you that you knew you had a future in fighting?
Just I've always been an athlete, so just when I was first came up through the ranks and was an amateur, and I was winning these fights, and I was doing it pretty handedly, just running through everybody.
Mm-hmm.
That's what kind of made me think, okay, maybe I can do this, because like I said, I was just a kind of a straight wrestler. Oh, he's back. So I was just kind of a straight wrestler and stuff like that, and I have no wrestling background, no wrestling experience, and it was just like, I'm running through these guys. There's not a lot of people that's even coming close to even. I never really had a tough fight. A lot of my amateur fights were all just first round finishes. So it just made me want to catapult into the pro ranks.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
I cut out. You guys obviously kept going.
Yeah, we were still going.
Oh, good.
Yeah. I mean, so a big part of this whole conversation is sponsorship, and we hope that our followers are watching this and getting little tidbits on how to get sponsors and what to do. So how did you secure your first sponsor? How did you go about doing that?
Yeah, so it's so funny really to even think about that back then and stuff like that, because I used to make a lot of money off sponsors as an amateur and selling tickets and stuff like that. As an amateur, man, I was raking in probably $2,500 to $3,000 a fight, later in my, and after like my 7th and 8th amateur fight when I was 6 and 7, 8 and 0, right before I turned pro, like I was raking in a lot of money before I even got pro because I had, it's so hard because what so many people want to do is they want to go out and they want to have Venom and they want to have Hayabusa and this and that, this big name spot Nike and Reebok, there's something unobtainable is what they're trying to have sponsor them. And the way I looked at it, and I think the way that I changed it in a lot of my area was, I went up to places like I ate at El Charlet's every day. It's a Mexican restaurant. Like I ate there all the time. I was really good friends with the guy that owned a barbecue restaurant. There was a weight loss clinic that helped me out and that would give me IVs after I fought and stuff like that. And I just looked at it like I would ask the people that was, that I actually shopped at and actually done business at, because it makes somebody appreciate somebody a lot more. Like if you walk into a random business that you've never been in, you've never been a part of, and you're like, oh, give me, $500 for this fight. They're like, man, get the hell out of here. But you go up to somebody that you show them that, that you're helping their business out and you're actually shopping there, you're doing stuff like that. I think that means a lot more to the owner. So that's the way I approached all my sponsorship. And I think that it really, really helped out everything.
Well, Adam, I've got to tell you a little story. But first, I want to ask you a question. Do you recall how many fights you had when we first met? Where were you in your amateur career then?
Did we meet at Cage Brawl? Is that where you met at?
Right.
Yeah. I think I was 7-0 and I was fighting for the 145-pound Tennessee state title that night.
Gotcha. So when we met that night, and I can't recall who introduced us, but they said, you've got to take care of this guy. You got to sponsor him, give him a mouth guard, right?
Yeah.
I was so skeptical of the idea. We were new in business at that time. So this is 8 years ago, 8+ years ago.
Yeah, it's crazy.
What do you mean give this guy a free mouth guard? What's he going to do? Anyways, whoever it was said, just trust me and give him a mouth guard.
I believe it was Paul and Stacy Caldy.
That's it. Yes.
And the reason being is because, they was coming up in the Your Fight game. They was doing all the T-shirts and, doing the not necessarily sponsoring fighters, but giving sponsors a big cut of the T-shirt sales that they was doing.
Right.
And see, I kind of started all that by I come up to them, and I think how I got involved with them was I was looking for somebody to make me some T-shirts because I was selling 100 and something T-shirts every fight,
Right.
And they saw the potential in me to really sell and to really market and stuff like that, and they started reaching out to other people and help me get me sponsors. Back to what you were saying.
Well, it's interesting what you're saying about them because they were instrumental in us beginning a relationship. And again, I was so skeptical. But here's what happened, right? We did sponsor you with guards and gear. And before doing that, it was my expectation because I'm a lifelong beer league hockey player, and Jack's a hockey player, and my daughter's a lacrosse player. I thought that's always where we'd spend most of our time.
Right.
But, and I credit our relationship with you for this.
Awesome.
In that, after we gave you a mouth guard, you started talking about it, and you did what you said you would do, and you lived up to the promise that you're going to help promote this brand. And we were brand new at the time, but what started happening is that your training partners and other folks in your area started buying MMA mouth guards from us, and it really launched us into the battle sport. So now for us, MMA, jiu-jitsu, boxing for sure, Muay Thai, kickboxing, these are our biggest sports. And, I didn't think we were going in that direction, and you helped us go there. So thank you.
I appreciate that. And the thing that's cool about that too is like, and that's another big thing about being sponsorship is like, me being a business owner myself, and even back then, I think I always had the business mindset as well, because even back then it's like you have these guys that, they're going to walk into, I don't know, a car insurance business, right? And they're going to walk into a car insurance business that they know this guy that it's a business owner that has money. Obviously, he's doing well. And they go in there like, oh, let me get $1,000 of sponsorship for this fight. how are you going to return that $1,000 that he's invested into you? You know, into something that makes it work for him, because you're asking for money, but really what's the investment return? And I think that's a lot of things that people didn't understand that time, was like, these people ain't just going to give you merchandise. They're not going to give you money unless there's some return for what you're doing for them. And I don't think a lot of people understood that. And that's what hurt a lot of people trying to get sponsors and sell shirts and so on and so forth. There was no return.
A lot of people definitely don't understand this. And the whole idea behind this group that we're now talking in is to help educate athletes who are getting started or who are already in the game, to learn from guys like you who've been through it, what they need to do in order to get sponsored, stay sponsored, increase sponsorships. Because so many folks, Jack knows this because he's deep into our sponsorship program now, is, hey, I'm a fighter, sponsor me. That's the whole pitch.
Yeah. It's so funny that people think like that, and you know, and somebody that has a little talent behind their name or is doing good, you know, even, and that's the thing. Like, even on the top group of fighters, you know, you have these elite fighters that are go out there and win fight after fight after fight, but some of them don't sell. You can look at even Kamaru Usman, for instance. Like, he had so many fights before he got the title, and they had to give the guy a title shot. You know, they didn't want that guy to be the title. They wanted Masvidal. They wanted Diaz. They wanted McGregor, the Tyrone. They wanted anybody to be the champion at 170 other than him, simply because he don't sell. Nobody cares. Even if you go now and look, even that he's been the champion for a few fights, if you go and look at his YouTube views, I saw a thing on that the other day, which I thought was wild. Like, his was like 200,000 views, and Masvidal had like 15 million. Masvidal lost the fight. You know, it's like nobody cares about that guy because he's just kind of boring to watch. He don't really talk, and that's it. So you've got to be somewhat of a sale in order to make money in this sport, and that's what a lot of people don't understand. Like, I got here, win. That's the most important thing about fighting, is to win. But at the same time, like, you know, there's a lot more money to be made marketing and just acting a fool, like Conor McGregor first laid the blueprint out for, was to say, hey, I'm really good at fighting, but I also talk the best smack in the game, because I hate Conor McGregor. A lot of people know that. But I can't knock the guy for having a business mindset. And now you're seeing so many guys, like you're seeing Darren Till, you're seeing Jorge Masvidal, you're seeing Henry Cejudo. You're seeing so many guys follow that little trend that Conor set on talking all this smack in order to sell fights and to make money, and they're doing it, and they're doing it well.
Right. Yeah. Somebody soon will come out with another way. They're just natural promoters. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Sean O'Malley is a perfect example of that. He's
another guy, exactly
ridiculous.
I was trying to think of him. That's 100% it. He's not that good. He's not fought anybody that great yet, but he's talked the right talk. He's called out the right people. He's made a name for himself. You see him on ESPN and SportsCenter all the time talking, and it's working for him.
Yeah. I've been following his social media the past month or so. It's gone from 200,000 followers to 1 million plus. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Well, what's a way that you kind of separated yourself from fellow athletes? How did you market yourself kind of like that?
I had a guy that was kind of mentoring me, I guess you could kind of say, when I was coming up, and he was kind of coming up too. And he wasn't a big ticket seller. He wasn't a big draw like I was at the time. And he would always ask me what I'm doing different. And I think that I've always just been easy to talk to. You know, I think I've always just, liked to talk and to like to, interact with people and stuff like that. And I mean, I truly think that some people, it's kind of like, having heart or not. Like, some people really have that extra button and some people don't. There's definitely ways to change that. There's ways to be more friendly, to be more talkative. I mean, some people have to push themselves to do that. And I think that's something that some people just have to do. Some people just can't, they're either too nervous or they're too shy, or they don't want to come off as cocky or whatnot to, to talk and to say these things that they need to do to get sponsors and to gain fans. But at the end of the day, like, no matter what anybody says about MMA, boxing, kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, you have all these people you train with. You have all these people that help you get ready, all these coaches, but at the end of the day, it's a one-person game. When you step in that cage, when you step in that ring, whatever you want to call it, it's you. Everything that you've done, everything that you worked for, all the running you've done, all the, the times you got punched in your face, everything that you've done is on you. You can't get in there and say, "Oh, my coaches was bad. Oh, my fumbled the football. My blockers were bad. My stick broke." You can't get in there and use none of those excuses when you get in the cage, because it was, he had the same amount of time. Well, not always, but you both have the equal opportunity to accept the fight. You both accepted the fight, and then you got to get in there and perform. So it's so unlike other sports in that sense. And, you just got to go out there and you got to be prepared to do the things that nobody wants to do in order to gain, fame and wins and everything in this sport. You just got to go out there and you got to get outside your comfort zone and be ready to talk to people, interact with people, go ask for stuff that you normally wouldn't ask for, and do those things in order to achieve your goal, whatever that is.
It's definitely true, and recognize what you're good at. So in your case, you're a gregarious, outgoing guy, but a brooding, angry guy can also be good at promoting and sponsoring
100%.
products. They just have to end up delivering on whatever it is that they say that they do.
Right, 100%. They just got to deliver, and they got to make the return investment. That's what I always told people when they asked me how I had so many sponsors and so on and so forth. Yeah, I had, random stuff sponsor me throughout the years and stuff like that. But mainly every sponsor that I ever had and I ever got stayed with me basically through my entire career. I had maybe one or two, out of all the sponsors I had very, very few drop off. And that wasn't really because of me. That was because either their business wasn't doing too well. And even the businesses that didn't even give me money towards the end of my career, I was still promoting and doing stuff because they took care of me. And when they was, kind of hurting in their business, I was still trying to help promote them to maybe flame it back up,
That's what makes you special. Do you have any weird circumstances with sponsors, like that didn't deliver what they say they would, other than those maybe going out of business? But
yeah, so I had Buffalo Wild Wings screw me one time. That's really funny because I had two weird instances this morning already where people I've not talked to or heard from in a while come up. But Buffalo Wild Wings, somebody sent me a meme that said it had a guy on the back of his truck. It says, "Think I don't hold a grudge? Ask Toyota of Johnson City how they screwed me out of $655. It was on his back windshield, But and I was like, man, that's what I need to do for Buffalo Wild Wings. Buffalo Wild Wings owed me $500. I followed up in Nebraska for the RFA on TV. That's when it was Access TV, AXN. I think it's I don't even know what it's called now. I think it's HD TV or I don't know. Anyways, and they were supposed to give me $500 for having a big viewing party there. Okay. I had like 60, 70 people over there watching my fight. Obviously, that was an easy return on their investment because they made way more than that off of me that night, off of 60, 70 people drinking for 3 hours, eating and so on and so forth. So I go the next week when I get back to pick up my money, and the guy was like, they act like they didn't know who I was. And I was like, there's a picture of me right here on the wall. What do you mean? You don't know who I am? I just see the picture right here of me on the wall.
That's me. I signed it last week.
Yeah. And, I was like, oh, well, I don't know nothing about it. You talked to somebody else that was here. Okay. So they're like, I was like, who'd you talk to? I told him the name. He's like, oh, okay. He'll be in tomorrow. Come in and talk to him. Well, he's like, yeah, man, I really couldn't get the $500 cash. But I'm working on it. Long story short, I go back like 3 times, and he's like, well, no, let me do this. I can give you $500 worth of gift cards. And we can do it that way because he said he couldn't get approved by corporate or whatever. And that's another thing a lot of fighters need to watch out. Just kind of off subject is going with these corporate sponsorships. It's much easier to go with when you can go up and I can talk to Frank, the owner of the business. I can say, hey, Frank, this is what I can do. Give me a free mouth guard. Let me promote a few. I can do this for you. Instead of going to some, Joe Blow manager and saying, okay, you got to talk to your corporate and get it approved and so on and so forth. I would stay away from that as much as I could. So anyway, so I go back and he's like, I get you the $500 gift card. Just let me make sure that's okay. And he said, I'll come back. I'll give you a call tomorrow and come back over and get them. So, okay. So I go back the next day. I've been here 4 times now. I go back the next day and he's like, man, I couldn't get the gift cards approved like I thought I could. Let me give you a free chips and queso. And I'm like, Well, shit, he said, let me give you a free chips and queso. After a $500 cash was supposed to be delivered, he offered me a free chips and queso. I was going to bring it out. I was going to let him bring it out, and I was going to throw it against the wall. But I was like, man, I'm better than this. Let's get that out of here before I was a So that was the one. That was kind of the one big time that I got screwed over as a sponsor.
Terrible. You're right. You got to be careful. What other surprises have you had in your career that you didn't see coming?
Just in the career, in general, like, I not making the UFC was a big deal to me, because I made the Ultimate Fighter show. I've done a big video blog about this, like a 7-part video blog series where I video blogged it from, going up to day one of trying out for the Ultimate Fighter, making the show, fighting, all that stuff. And then they called me like a week beforehand, or no, like 3 days before my flight was supposed to leave, and told me I was no longer a part of the show, that I was going to be a backup. And then I watched the show later on after I didn't get to be on it, long story short, and there's tons of guys on the show that had made it, that got kicked off when I was out in Vegas trying out for it. And what it is these big name coaches. And I don't know how much I'm supposed to say, like, but it's like, life is about who you know and whose butt you kiss, I guess, in simpler terms. And that was the thing is, I was this redneck from Tennessee, and all this stuff. And, they had these guys that was at the MMA Lab, Team Alpha Male, Greg Jackson, Wink, whatever you want to call it. There's all these gyms that these guys, that the producers specifically said, we're not taking anybody off a loss. I just beat Yuri Villafort on TV, one of the biggest fights of my career. Just beat him right before this season started. So I had a great win. I had the Mick Maynard, who is now the UFC matchmaker, was the owner, and that was the last fight that they done as legacy for that. So I had an easy way in. Joe Silva loved me, the matchmaker. All this stuff. Like, I talked to Joe Silva, text him, everything. Like, I was in the house ready to be in the UFC, and some random ass producer calls me and is like, "Hey, you're no longer on the show. You're a backup now." And that was some of the hardest points of my career, is just like being so close to being where I wanted to be, and then just having it stripped from me because I'm from Tennessee. I'm from, a no-name gym, a no-name part of the state. And that's probably one of the crappiest things there is, just because it was not because I wasn't skilled enough. It wasn't because of anything other than where I was from and what I done. So my biggest suggestion is always these guys, and I went with without a manager my entire career. Never had a big name manager. No manager ever done nothing for me. I managed all my fights, done all my paperwork, everything, and all that stuff. And that would be something that if I could really go back, I would have probably done differently. And that's what I would suggest to these younger guys, is making sure that they go out, they get a manager, they go to a big name gym, they leave their local gym, as bad as that is to say, they leave their local gym if they can, go out to somewhere that's got a big name, that's got coaches and stuff that's known, and that'll help them get to their career a lot faster.
Gotcha. Well, I got to say, as a no-name redneck from Tennessee, you got to travel the world, right?
Yeah.
Fighting. I was always so proud every time you announced where you were going. I just thought that was just incredible.
Yeah, I mean, without fighting, I wouldn't have been able to do a lot of things I've done. Even my business now, I credit a lot to fighting, because it got my name out with just so many people, so many big name people in the area. Big contractors and people that own that do real estate and so on and so forth. Like, it really helped me out in my plumbing business. So going all over the world and fighting, I got to go see some stuff that I know for a fact that I would never have got to go and do and see without fighting. I've been to China, Russia 3 times, England, Australia, Austria, South Africa. I mean, it's just crazy the places that I got to go that I would never have got to without doing that. And I got to sponsor Impact and show that off everywhere I went too. So
it still makes me excited when you're talking about it. Just those places.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So now you're in the plumbing business, and that's going well. I know you've run for political office in your area as well. Tell us about that.
So I've basically done plumbing like my whole adult life. I mean, from the time I was like 19 years old, I done a lot of different types of plumbing and working for some construction groups and stuff like that. And then my dad kind of kicked me in the butt to start my business. He's like, man, you should just jump into it. There's a lot of money to be made. There's a lot of people that are in need of it and stuff like that. So I done it. Going back to the political office thing, I ran that because I thought it'd be a good step. I always joked about being the mayor of Carter County, and I thought that'd be a good step in the door for me to achieve that goal later on in life. And plus, you make a lot of money doing that too. It's like 80 grand a year, so that was a big part of it too. But and for basically doing nothing essentially. So and then, but after I ran and I saw how I'm not a fake person. I sit here and talk just like this to you or anybody else. This is me all day, every day. I don't change for nobody, no matter who you are, what you are. And that was the biggest thing for me is like I saw how fake you had to be in politics, and I hated it. So it was really a blessing in disguise that I didn't win that election. And now I get to do just do whatever I want to do. So it's really, really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So last questions, I think, and then we'll wrap it up for you. But because I know you got to go fishing. You've got a couple boys at home. You think you'll convince them to be fighters or no?
I'm just letting my kids do whatever they want to do. I was not necessarily forced. I love sports. My mom and dad really made me play like football, basketball, baseball. I raced dirt bikes my whole entire life. It wasn't really that I was forced to do it. I liked to do it. But I'm sure there was times as a kid that I didn't want to do that anymore. And I'm glad that they pushed me and made me do that stuff because it definitely helped me out to be the person that I am today. I always credit all that to my parents because they was the one that made me work hard. They made me go to the gym. They made me do the extra stuff that nobody else was doing. That set me out from everybody. But as far as my boys go, I just want them to do whatever they want to do. I don't necessarily want them to be fighters, man. I know you've seen pictures and videos of me getting stitched up and cut up, and it's just not something I want to see my boys do. It really ain't. It's a brutal sport, especially when you achieve the level that I was at. Being a top-ranked fighter in the world and going and fighting these top-ranked Russians and stuff like that, man. That's the one thing I always say about my career compared to a lot of people's. Like, I never took easy fights. My last 10 fights have been a murderer's row of incredible athletes across the world that I'm fighting. So not necessarily I don't want my kids to do that. I don't even care. Like my oldest son, he worked hard and made the school baseball team this year before the COVID hit and got everything shut down. So I was excited about that. My youngest son, I think he's going to be more the athlete. I think he's going to play football this year. And I was coaching for basketball. So I just want my kids to do whatever makes them happy, man. That's just the way I look at it.
Jack, we ought to send his boys up a hockey stick. That'd be a good
thing. Absolutely.
That'd be cool. Like, that's what sucks about the area that I live in too, man, is we literally like have football, basketball, baseball. There's not a big wrestling program. There's not a big there's a little bit of golf, I guess you could say. There's definitely no hockey, no lacrosse. There's a little bit of soccer now that's coming around. But it's just mainly the big three sports for us here in Tennessee.
Well, when those boys need mouth guards, you just let us know and we'll take care of it.
Yeah, I mean, I remember asking you not long ago about one for my oldest son. You're like, well, not until they get a little bit older. Are you doing anything? Has that changed any as far as kids' mouth guards? Or
how old are they?
Well, Peyton just turned 12, so he's getting his permanent teeth.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So I would say from 8 years and older, we're doing custom guards. And if they're younger or even older kids, if they want something that's not quite as expensive as a custom guard, we've got our quick fit guards, which fit perfectly nice as well.
Well, and let me tell you, like so the other day, real funny story real fast is the other day some kids come over the house and want to spar with me. They're just like fresh out of high school and they just want to know what it's like to fight a pro fighter. So I haven't even tried. I literally haven't done a single thing since my last fight back in February. And, I put my mouthpiece in and it fit just as snug as ever. And I was so excited because just that feeling of clicking that dude in just always gets me pumped up. It's like it's like strapping on a helmet in football. It's game time. Like you put that mouthpiece in, it clicks in. It's game time. But everybody, I always just preach your mouthpieces to everybody because it's just a different level. Like when you go from having a mouthpiece that flops around your mouth to having one that clicks in and you have to reach up there and yank out, like it makes everything so much easier. It's just one less thing to worry about. You don't have to worry about that. It's so funny, especially when you go to amateur shows, they got these guys that have these. And I used to fight with those double mouth guards. You know, the ones that was like up and down, and it like made their mouth open like that much.
Yeah.
And I thought that. I look back, I'm like, man, what a dumbass was I like to fight like that? But you wasn't around, you know, when I first come around. That wasn't a thing. So now that you are, I'm always trying to get these younger fighters and all these younger people to use a good mouth guard because it's going to protect them. It's going to save a lot of. And I've never been knocked out. I don't know if it's just because I'm just got a big old head or whatever, but I credit a lot to your mouth guard as well.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Jack. I think that wraps it up, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think that's it. Enjoy your fishing in a little bit. We can't thank you enough for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
All right, man. I really appreciate you guys, man. Great seeing y'all.
Adam, you helped put Impact on the map. So thank you. And we love you, man.
Thanks again, Frank. See you guys. Have a good day.
Thanks, Adam.